Home sweet home, said Merle, as he pushed open the door of the safe house, his voice strained with pain and exhaustion. It was a non-strip apartment nestled in the heart of an old town, Alexandria, a place where history whispered through great line streets and colonial lampposts stood synonym. The room's sparse furnishing, a warm leather couch, a coffee table scurred with rings from long forgotten drinks, and a sturdy bookshelf where illuminated by the creamy glow of a single floor lamp. This would be his sanctuary, a place to lick his wounds away from prying eyes while he planned his next step. If he could stay conscious long enough to do so, he practically collapsed onto the couch, the leather creaking under his weight. A groan escaped his lips, his pain radiated through his body. Well, I went into for some painkillers right now, he thought, but that was out of the question. He wasn't going to take another drive right away, not in his current condition, and he knew better than to expect to find a sharp medicine cabinet here. Still, there was always the chance someone might have left a few odds and ends behind. He forced himself to stand, swaying slightly as he made his way to the kitchenette. Rifling through the cabinets, he located an expired bag of coffee and a dusty coffee maker. Good enough. Using paper towels for the filter, he brewed the pot. The air was soon full of the coffee's rich aroma. Despite the fog of pain and the fatigue, Zach's mind hurried ahead, threading through every possible outcome like a weaver at a loom. What are these bastards up to now? He murmured to himself. He knew the terrorist method now, spreading both fear and destruction. They had struck a powerful plant in the metro. But where would they strike next? The coffee maker beat, and Zach poured himself a cup with shaking hands. He took a sip, savoring the bitter warmth that spread through him. It wasn't much, but it helped. Cleared his head a little. Zach sat back down on the couch and sipped his coffee. As the warmth spread through his body, he rested his head back, feeling the best he had since the explosion in the metro. He set his mug aside and said things he knew. He was waking to the ringing of his phone. He glanced at the call ID, directed Liz Murdoch, and cleared his throat, trying to pull his thoughts together before answering. Zach, Liz said, how are you holding up? They treating you well at the hospital? So she didn't know about his escape yet? That was good. It wouldn't be long though before someone told her, hey Liz, yeah, they're doing what they can. Zach's voice was even, betraying none of the throbbing pain that kept time with his heartbeat. Darts are hovering, making sure I don't do anything foolish. He crossed his fingers, hoping she'll believe the lie. Good, you need rest. Your body has been through a lot of trauma. Don't underestimate that. There was still in Liz's words, but underneath lay a river of concern. Rest is the plan. He lied smoothly, his gaze wandering around the room. But you know me, always keeping one eye open. Zach, Liz signed, and he could almost see her hand pressed against her forehead in desperation. Just promise me you'll be careful. You're no good to us dead. Always careful, Zach replied, though they both knew it was only half true. Any updates on your end? no breakthroughs. If that's what you mean, she said, and Zach could hear the rustle of papers, the background hum of the agency working tirelessly. We're integrating the suspects from the metro now, though. We'll get to the bottom of this. The pain from Zach's injury was a dull roar in the background of his mind, like distant artillery fire. He leaned back against the warm sofa, his body protesting with sharp stabs of the planks. Now, anything from them, he asked. There was a pause as if the director was wondering if she should involve him. Come on, Liz, Zach said. Him wounded, bedridden man. She let out another sign. Well, the man who attacked you have been tight-lipped, but when they were being arrested, we overheard one of them saying something about taking down the cap. Probably just another reference to DC, though. Maybe Zach said his thoughts charming. You think they meant something else? I don't know, he replied. Non-committally, he chuckled. My brain's so added right now, it's hard to even think straight. I'm sure it is. Liz was silent for a moment, and Zach sensed she was evaluating him, as if unsure if she could believe everything he was saying. Well, he said, keep me in the loop if anything like changes. I can only watch cable for so long. Of course, she said. With any luck though, yeah. I won't have to update you. You'll see it on the news. Of course, Zach agreed. Inwardly though, he worried that if they didn't figure out the terrorist plan soon, he might not like what the news had to report. Rest well, Zach. Thanks, Liz. Zach ended the call and set the phone aside. Taking down the Capitol, he murmured to himself DC was the obvious explanation. That something nagged him. It felt too obvious, too easy. His mind's foggy with medication and fatigue. Struggled to make connection. He forced himself to stand, swaying slightly as he made his way to a small whiteboard hanging on the wall. Zach uncapped the marker, his hand trembling as he began to write. Capitals, he murmured, jotting down possibilities. DC, New York, financial capital. Los Angeles, entertainment capital. His eyes scanned the list, searching for a pattern, a clue. Nothing jumped out at him. Frustrated, he wiped the board clean and started again. Historical significance, he wrote at the top. Boston, Gettysburg, Philadelphia. Zach stared at the names, willing them to make sense. The pain in his head throbbed in time with his heartbeat, making it hard to concentrate. He took another swig of coffee, grimaced at the now cold liquid. Think, damn it, he growled, pacing unsteadily. What am I missing? He returned to the whiteboard, adding more cities, more potential targets. The list grew, a jumble of possibilities that only served to confuse him further. Exhausted, Zach slumped back onto the couch, his eyes heavy with fatigue. As he drifted on the edge of sleep, fragments of thought swirled in his mind. The founding fathers, the Declaration of Independence, the first capital. Zach's eyes snapped open. Philadelphia, he whispered. The realization dawning slowly. It wasn't certain, but it felt right. The city where American independence was declared, where the founding fathers had dreamed of a nation free from tyranny. The original capital. He struggled to his feet, grabbing the whiteboard marker again. With shaky hands, he circled Philadelphia, adding question marks around it. It was a lead, but he couldn't be sure. Still, his instincts told him it was worth investigating. Liz would be concentrating all her attention on DC. No harm in that, but if Philadelphia was the real target, well, better not to put all their eggs in one basket. Coming to a decision, Zach hurried to the door. His body screamed for rest, but duty called. Philadelphia was waiting. He had to follow his hunch before it was too late. The sun was setting over Philadelphia as Patriot Force approached the abandoned Franklin Mills Mall. The once bustling shopping center now stood as a hulking ghost, its empty parking lots overgrown with weeds pushing through cracked asphalt. Zach's body arched with every step, a constant reminder of the metro explosion. He barely survived. He had come here based on a tip from one of his informants. Over the past week, there had been unusual activity around the mall. Unmarked vans coming and going to odd hours, men in dark clothing carrying heavy equipment, and strange electrical surges detected in the area. It all pointed to something big in the works, and Zach was determined to find out what. As he neared the building, Zach popped a pair of painkillers, washing them down with the last of his lukewarm coffee. The medication dulled the edge of his pain, but it also left his mind feeling slightly foggy. He shook his head, trying to clear it. He couldn't afford to be anything less than sharp right now. The man's main entrance was chained shut, but Zach spotted a side door that looked more promising. He approached it cautiously. He had resting on the grip of his concealed weapon. The lock was new and conscious with the rust and decay surrounding it. Zach smiled grimly, definitely suspicious with practiced ease. He picked the lock and stepped inside the interior of the mall. Was a cavern of shadows. The last rays of sunlight filtered through a grimace skylight. Zach pulled out of a small flashlight, it being cutting through the gloom like a knife. He moved slightly through the abandoned concourse, past empty storefronts with faded signs advertising long-gone businesses. His footsteps echoed slightly on the dirty tile floor, and he winced at each sound, hyper aware of giving away his position. As he rounded the corner, Zach froze. There, in what used to be the food court, he saw signs of recent activities. Tables had been pushed aside to make room for stacks of crates, and coils of wires or generator hummed softly in the corner, powering banks of computers equipment. Zach's heart raced just as the bid the terrorist's next target. But what were they planning? He approached the setup cautiously, his trained eye taking in every detail. The equipment looked military grade, far more significant than what they're used in previous attacks. He was so focused on the equipment that he almost missed the sound. A soft scuff of a shoe and towel coming from behind him. Zach spun around, but he was a fraction too slow. Pain exploded in his side as a fist connected with his still healing ribs. Zach stumbled backwards, gasping for breath. His attacker, a man in dark tactical gear, pressed his advantage. A knife flashing in dim light, slicing through the air where Zach's throat had been a moment before. Adrenaline surged through Zach's system, temporarily dulling the pain of his injury. He dodged another knife thrust, then countered with a quick jab to the man's solar plexus. The blow landed, but with less force than Zach would have liked. His injuries and the lingering efforts of the painkillers were slightly slowing him down. The attacker recovered quickly, launching into a flurry of strikes that forced Zach onto the defensive. Zach backpedaled, desperately trying to create some distance. His back hit one of the crates, and he used it to push off, throwing himself to the side just as the knife embedded himself to the wood where he had been standing. Seizing the moment, Zach tackled his opponent. They crashed to the ground, grabbing him for control. Zach managed to get on top, but a sharp echo of his injury ribs sent a wave of agony through his body. His vision swam, and suddenly he was the one on his back. The attacker's hands wrapping around his throat. Spots danced in front of Zach's eyes as he fought for air, his fingers scrabbled desperately on the floor around him. Searching for anything he could use as a weapon, just as the edge of his vision started to go dark. His hand closed around something cool and metallic, a wrench that must have fallen from one of the crates. With the last of his shrimps, Zach swung the wrench. It connected with the side of the attacker's head. With a sickening thud, the man's grip loosening, Zach gulped in precious air. Another swing of his wrench, and his attacker slumped to the side, unconscious. Zach rolled away, coughing and gasping. Every breath sent sharps of pain through his chest. He knew he could call for backup, but first he needed answer. With shaking hands, he pulled out a set of zip ties and secured the unconscious man. It took a few minutes and severe sharp slaps before the attackers began to steer. Zach had used the time to catch his breath and take stock at his injuries. Nothing seemed to be broken, but needed definitely set back his recovery. "Wake up," he growled, giving the man another shake. Time to talk. The attacker's eyes fluttered, open, unfocused at first, then sharpening with anger as he realized his situation. He tested his zip ties, then glared at Zach. "Who are you working for?" Zach demanded. "What's the target?" The man spat at Zach's feet. "You're too late. It was already begun." Zach's grips tightened on the wrench. "What's begun? What are you planning to do here?" A smirk played across the man's face. "Here, nothing. This was just to keep you busy." Zach felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean?" "You DNS agents are so predictable," the man sneered. "We knew if we made enough noise here, you'll come running. And while you're chasing ghosts in Philadelphia, the real show is about to start." Zach's mind raced. "If this wasn't the target, then where's the real attack happening?" he pressed. "Tell me." The man just laughed. "You'll find out soon enough. It'll be all over the news." Frustration and fear warmed within Zach. He had been so sure about Philadelphia, and now he realized he walked right into their trap. You're going to tell me everything you know," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Or what?" the man challenged. "You'll kill me? Go ahead. I'm just a pawn. Expendable. Killing me won't stop what's coming." Zach opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, a loud bang echoed through the mall. A flash of light momentarily blinded, and he instantly ducked for cover. When his vision cleared, he saw that a smoke grenade had been thrown into the front court. Thick, acrid smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Zach's eyes watered as he tried to locate his prisoner through the haze. He heard moments, the sound of zip ties snapping, and then running footsteps. "No," Zach shouted, lurching to his feet. He stumbled after the sound, but the smoke was disorienting, and his injury slowed him down. But by the time he made it out of the food court, the attackers were nowhere to be seen. Zach leaned against his wall, breathing heavily. Pain radiated through his body and his head throbbed. He fell. Not only had he fallen for their diversion, but he let his only lead slip away. With a shaking hand, he pulled out his phone and dialed Riley's number. He answered on the first ring. Zach, where are you? We've been trying to reach you for hours. Riley, Zach said, his voice hoarse from the smoke and the early choking. We've got a problem. Philadelphia was a setup. The real attack is happening somewhere else.